Hi, I'm Ben,
And I'm Tristan,
and this is Ruby Ramblings Episode
where we're going to talk about the Blake trailer from Volume 5.
8. So, just like our previous episode where we talked about the Weiss trailer, it's going to be the same format where first we're going to talk about it as if we had not already seen the rest of Volume 5. And then after that, we'll transition into discussing it with our Volume 5 knowledge. And we'll let you know when that happens in the description.
Yes, we will certainly do that. And in addition, if anything that turns out to be a spoiler is mentioned in the non-spoiler section, that'll get edited out. Oh, and another thing, apologies if I am even less loud than normal, but I'm currently sick. So, yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying not to get too close to him.
It's fair. It's a smart tactic, really.
Mm.
Anyway, moving on. So, I broke this up into what they talked about in the audio and what they actually did in the episode. So we can either try to do something like that, or we can just mix it. I can just flip this page over a lot.
Yeah, I think I'd rather talk about it in order. But
That works. That's fine.
Yeah, but what Tristan's talking about is obviously in this trailer there's a lot going on, especially in comparison to the Weiss trailer, which was pretty single tracked.
Yes.
This has a something happening sort of in the moment currently, and then overlaid is the audio in a conversation flashing in between Blake and Ilya.
Yes. Which was a very interesting way to do it, and personally,
It was cool.
Yeah, it was also something I enjoyed overall. Although I didn't find that the events going on at the time necessarily overlaid with the conversation that much.
Not really.
Yeah, which I found slightly interesting in terms of how they did it, but it was important to do anyway. Because, finding out more about Ilya was fun. But anyway, shall we jump into it?
Yeah, sure. Let's get started.
Youth.
Well, okay, one thing I wanted to say, and this is still sort of like intro, it's not really specific, but
Okay.
I just thought it was funny, as always, that you probably already know what I'm going to say.
Yeah.
But it's a Blake trailer,
Uh-huh.
and here it is, not about Blake. It's about Ilya. It's an Ilya trailer. It's not a Blake trailer.
It's a bit about Blake in terms of the fact that her connections to the White Fang, a friend that she made.
Yeah, Blake makes an appearance. But it's an Ilya trailer, not a Blake trailer.
Okay. I still think it is a Blake trailer, and we can get into that later, but if you want to argue it's about... Okay, it is probably majority Ilya. So, but arguing it was not a Blake trailer is still a bit...
Well, one thing that I wanted to bring up,
Sure.
that's not really related, it's kind of related to the whole Blake's not really a character thing that I keep bringing up, and I'm just going to mention it here because I don't know where else to put it.
Sure.
But, I heard somewhere that, I was listening to someone, and they mentioned that, Ruby and Blake never have, a direct conversation in any of the first 4 volumes. They never, address each other. And, I wanted to check if that was true, but I didn't have the time or the resources to find that. But it's just, I couldn't think of any place where that happens.
I'm trying to think of a situation. The best example is honestly Volume 1 when Ruby tries to have a conversation with Blake, and that doesn't really work.
Right.
Besides that, I think the best example of that might be in Ruby Chibi, which is hilarious.
Okay, I haven't seen all of Ruby Chibi.
I have not either, but I think they communicate more directly there than they do in the actual show in terms of camera time.
That's probably true. That also doesn't count.
Yeah. I agree that since it's not canon, it doesn't count, but in terms of it shows a little bit more of the interaction they could have in their dorm room, which we don't see that often.
Okay.
So I imagine that in terms of because the plot honestly doesn't need to have the two of them have a conversation, especially since they can simply communicate with I don't know, checkmate, and then I know what to do now. So.
But yeah, anyway, back to the trailer at hand, the actual trailer.
Yes.
Nominally a Blake trailer. So the scene opens.
Indeed.
And sort of the first thing that's happening in real time
Yes.
is that Blake and Son are marauding about the town square, and they
Mhm.
see a shady-looking man buying weapons.
Well, before that, you just see Blake kind of perusing and walking around this menagerie marketplace,
Mm-hmm.
which I liked how they kind of had all these people, all these little shops, all the little busyness going on, and then Blake looking at this little, looking at some merchandise, and then she looks happy, and then her face cuts, her ears droop, and then it cuts to the memory, in my opinion. That's how the second even part's even going on, is it's a memory of her remembering a situation that happened in the past of
Right.
the conversation we had with Ilya, and the reason that's brought up is simply because she saw Ilya not too long ago.
Right. Yeah, you're right. That makes sense.
Yeah.
And one easy thing to note, I think, is just that this menagerie, just in general, is just a great example of how much the animation's improved in terms of NPCs and things like that, or background characters. I mean, call them what you will, because
Oh, yeah.
obviously how they're not shadow figures anymore.
Oh gosh, Volume 1.
But you
and-
bringing that up, yeah, it's beautiful, and it was cool to see
Yes.
the sort of aesthetic of Menagerie as we already sort of know it.
Yeah, it's kind of this small little niche group of faunists that
Horribly overcrowded.
horribly overcrowded, but they still manage to make it work. They still seem to do business in a good way and have a good time with each other. Buy some weapons, apparently. That comes up a little bit later, but it's fine. But that's when it cuts to the memory. Do you want to continue with the actual events
We
going
can
on,
talk
or
about the memory.
Okay. Go into the memory side. I mean, basic conversation is Blake's curious about why Ilya decided to join the White Fang.
Mm-hmm. They appear to be chilling in Vale,
Yeah,
as we can see with the Forever Fall in the background
correct.
giveaway.
Yeah.
So that kind of gives us a time window for when this is occurring,
Yeah.
before Blake left the White Fang.
Correct. And while they were still in that area, so you would presume it's sometime around the initial Black trailer.
Yeah, not long before.
Yeah. But yeah, what did you think of, I mean, the fact that Blake even kind of really, she didn't actually directly ask the question. Ilya just kind of assumed that's what she was asking. And so what do you think of asking that kind of personal question to her?
Well, it's clear that they're both good friends, right?
Yes.
As we can see. But, I mean, I don't know if this is what you're going for, but obviously this whole topic of, like, passing for human, and this whole, like, sort of
Mhm.
core of the conflict between the faunus and the humans, about how the faunus look different, so they are different, and being different is, scary or bad or whatever. And, like, that's a clear way for them to be discriminated against. I mean, it's probably a touchy subject.
Yeah, I actually wasn't going for anything. I just wanted to hear your thoughts on the matter. But
Uh-huh.
I agree that I imagine to most faunists that would be a pretty touchy subject of why would you join the White Fang if you could pass as human, which Ilya can, as those little marks on her could easily pass off as birthmarks.
Especially if she could change their color or something.
Yeah, she could probably get rid of them as long as she didn't revert them back at any point. But honestly, she just kind of looks like a person with kind of odd birthmarks, which is fine. And also, she can wear clothes over most of them.
And it's kind of a weird question, because Blake's also sort of questioning the strength of her, like, her commitment to the White Fang, because
Oh.
she's sort of asking, like, so, I mean, you don't have to do this. Why are you doing this?
Oh, you think that's what she's kind of...
I mean, I don't
bringing
know
up?
if that's what she means,
Okay.
but you could certainly read into that, because she's asking, why are you fighting? You don't have to fight.
That's true. She could slide by. I actually took it of a little bit different interpretation of that. She was kind of, if they were truly good friends, and as we know, Blake has kind of a little bit of trouble opening up and talking to people about certain things. So, especially at that time, considering this is this is all the way back before the beginning.
Flashback to when Sun meets Blake, and Blake doesn't talk to him for like 2 days or whatever.
Yeah, that was. Anyway, but I kind of felt that she was just kind of trying to find out a little bit more about her friend. And what supports that to me in my mind is that when Ilya was just kind of looking at her with like a somewhat smile, and then when she decided that she would just tell him, her smile got wider, stuff like that just kind of made me think, oh,
Smile.
Yes, the name of the small amount of song that you get at the very end.
We'll get to
gosh,
that.
we will get to that.
We'll get there.
But yeah, I like that interaction, and to me that moment just kind of think, oh hey, Ilya's probably pretty neat.
Yeah, she's definitely interesting, and I mean, I'm so glad to see her because clearly this trailer means that she's going to be an important part of this volume, and she's going to get more.
I would hope
we can
so.
assume because it's an Ilya trailer, and we saw her a little bit in volume 4 because obviously
Very
she
little.
she was spying on Blake, and then she injured Sun.
Yeah.
But like I love exposition.
Yes.
So I'm so happy that we get some.
Indeed.
And it's solid.
Yeah, and considering how the way they left off things last time, where you just stabbed my friend, it's you'd wonder what their initial relationship was, because that wasn't really explained before, and then maybe what's gonna turn into, which, my opinion, it kind of looks like that they both want to be friends, but they can't because they're on different sides.
Right. Yeah.
And it's annoying.
Yeah. I know what you mean.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
continuing with this conversation.
Yes.
Ilya starts talking about her backstory, and about what her childhood was like.
Yeah.
And how she grew up. And so her story is basically that she was born in Mantle, which is a city in Atlas. And I did research on this.
Good.
Because I was curious. I didn't remember what exactly Mantle was and how it related to.
Oh, I didn't either. It's just kind of like, I find it funny because when she gets to the part of, I couldn't bring friends home, it made me think, well, it can't be that far.
Right. And I'll tell you a little bit more about it. But basically,
Yes.
her parents want more from her life in Mantle, so
Mhm.
they move to Atlas, and they take jobs with presumably the Schnee Dust Company.
Yeah.
Or
You would
another
imagine
dust
so.
mining company.
That the Schnee
There's
hasn't,
only one.
That the Schnee hasn't taken over yet, I
Yeah,
guess.
unlikely.
Indeed.
And she gets enrolled in this prep school.
Yeah.
And so what I was sort of looking into was just a little bit about Mantle. And the first couple times that I watched this trailer,
Yeah.
I didn't really think about it much.
Okay.
But, eventually I became curious, and I went back, and it turns out that in Volume 4, Episode 6, Tipping
Okay.
Point,
Sure.
during the ballroom scene,
Okay.
while Weiss is like trying to leave her,
Yeah.
jock because he's annoying.
Yeah.
What he's talking about with a guy is they're talking about the relationship between Mantle and Atlas.
Okay.
So Mantle is the former capital of Atlas,
Oh, right.
while it was Mantle, the kingdom of Mantle.
The Kingdom of Mantle.
And so Mantle was the ex-capital.
Yeah.
And basically, Mantle is in a much worse financial state than Atlas.
Mm-hmm.
And the people who live there are a lot of faunists that live there.
Mm-hmm.
And so what Jacques talks about with this random guy and his wife, is Jacques is talking about. He says something about, well, we pay the faunists the same as we pay the normal workers, so their complaints are invalid right off the gate. And then, because obviously he's talking about faunists complaining about being discriminated against, whatever.
Yes.
And the guy brings up a really salient point that you wouldn't really expect to hear from the Atlas elite, which is about how, well, it's not really that you're paying them, but it's just that because Mantle is so much poorer than Atlas, you're offering these jobs basically to the faunists, and it's really the best opportunity that they have to take, and so they're kind of obliged to take it even if the pay is garbage or if it's dangerous or whatever, because it's like their best chance to migrate to a better life in Atlas, which is exactly what Ilya's parents did.
Yes.
Because obviously that's what they did. They moved from Mantle to Atlas and took jobs in mining. And then, I mean, we know how that turned out for them, and that kind of
Well, I don't know if they actually moved or if the job was in Mantle and then they sent their daughter to an Atlas prep school. Because you can imagine it might be like.
well, I'm pretty sure. Okay, so
Mhm.
jumping ahead a little bit,
Yeah.
and this is obviously related. So later on,
Mhm.
Ilya mentions about the cave-in at the mines.
Yes.
The insinuation to me there is that her parents died.
It's certainly possible, although she didn't mention it. That is something that
And
crossed my mind.
That was kind of my assumption.
Okay.
And like I've been saying things with that assumption,
Oh, okay.
but
Oh, is that why then you think she might have joined the White Fang because she no longer had her parents?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, that would be that would explain why she was crying so much, because she knew
Mm.
her parents were in that mine,
Yeah.
and also why she got so angry.
Yeah.
Other than just being slightly unhinged,
That's fair.
which definitely seems a little bit.
Hmm.
But yeah, it's my belief that, I mean, it makes sense because when like you said, when she's talking about how her parents were like, you can't bring your friends home.
Yeah.
It's kind of insinuating that she lives near, like, in Atlas
Yeah.
or nearby.
Or, I mean, we don't know how far, or I don't know how far Mantle is from Atlas. So.
I don't know the exact geography, unfortunately.
Yeah. So, but I imagine there would be some sort of transportation, so it wouldn't be overly difficult to get back and forth.
That's true, but that's sort of what I was
And
imagining.
I don't know, the prep school, like, if it's anything like Beacon where you stay there, then you wouldn't have to go back and forth.
That's true.
Yeah. Which is kind of the idea I had in mind, because if she's there hanging out with him all the time,
You're right.
then that would make a bit more sense. But one thing is that I think there was a History of Remnant video that mentioned Mantle being the old capital and such.
There was. I haven't rewatched it recently.
Yeah, I have not either, which is very unfortunate, considering that would be very, very important to this conversation right now.
Anyway, another thing about that sort of like crossed my mind that I wanted to bring up.
Yeah.
Is that she went to an Atlas prep school.
Yes.
What do you think the chances are she is like a connection to Weiss or
None.
none?
Absolutely none.
I know it's pretty slim, but like I'm just saying.
0.
She's like the only other character that, well, that's not true.
Yeah.
She's like the only other student.
Not true. Volume 3.
Well, she's the only other student that's still here that is from Atlas.
I doubt the Atlas students died.
Well, I meant like with the group, not like
Okay.
or whatever. It doesn't matter.
That's currently being shown
Yeah.
in the series.
Yeah. Right.
None. Absolutely no connection to Weiss.
Yeah.
Because Weiss.
I would say mutual friends maybe, but we know Weiss didn't have any friends.
Oh no, Weiss. Oh.
That's her whole shtick. I'm not being mean.
I know you're not. It just makes me sad inside.
Okay. That's
It's like, dang it, poor Weiss. She deserves better. So, since you bring up Weiss,
in the
something-
Blake trailer.
no, something I found interesting is when Ilya was talking about her quote-unquote friends, snickering and talking bad about Faunus, it reminded me of Weiss's initial feelings on the Faunus.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And how that changed pretty quickly after meeting and talking with Blake.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so I don't know. That just kind of reminded me of that little conversation that happened all the way back in Volume 1.
The atmosphere of Atlas is definitely casual Faunus racism, and
Yeah.
it's. I mean, yeah, Weiss was raised in Atlas, so that's why she
Yes.
has those opinions. Especially because her father is,
The guy.
Jacques.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's not surprising at all. And it's not surprising that those girls that are mentioned, and we're not going in order really at all.
No.
It's not surprising that those girls that were mentioned share the same opinions.
Yes. All right.
Anyway,
So,
what are we talking about?
so we've been on the conversation for a while.
Let's go back to what was happening in the action while this was going on.
Sure. One thing before, I just want to mention this quote that I liked was that this little Faunus girl from Mantle going to the City of Dreams and that she felt like a princess as a result.
Yeah.
I like that. I kind of want to talk about it a little bit more because we haven't
You can.
really been to Atlas.
You're right. We haven't.
So
I mean, a little bit. But
I would say the most we've seen is kind of in trailers which is just pretty much the Schnee residence.
Yeah, we've really only been in the Schnee residence in
Yeah,
Atlas.
a little bit maybe from World of Remnant stuff. A little bit, very little bit from the technology, just in like not the place itself, but in terms of the
Like the culture.
yeah, kind of the culture, the feel of like their bodyguards and some of their technology.
But to
and-
be fair, sorry, just not to completely interrupt you,
no,
but
it's fine.
even the culture, I feel like we don't know very well because, if you remember back to Volume 3,
Yeah.
when Weiss and Yang are about to fight Team Funky.
Yeah.
um,
Oh gosh, yeah, no.
Yang's
you're-
like, so what do you think they're gonna be? And Weiss is like, well, being from Atlas is probably a bunch of hardened military veterans that are disciplined and whatever. And then obviously as
and
like
then
a
they were great.
as a gag, Neon and Flint come out and they're absolutely not that at all.
no.
Which is, so I feel like we have this perception of their culture mainly from Ironwood,
Yeah.
who is like a hard ass,
yeah.
a major hard ass, and
Yeah.
Winter, who's also, she's strict certainly,
Yeah.
but like that's not the whole story clearly.
No, I mean especially since you have different populations within Atlas. Like you have the Faunus population,
Right, exactly.
You have the other groups of people, like you have. Like interestingly, it seemed like those two. Although Weiss, like a big thing for Weiss is kind of music. It seems like those two guys also had music. So it really makes me wonder how much music matters in Atlas.
Right, and it could be. And I know we're talking an awful lot about Atlas for the Blake trailer,
Yeah.
but,
Well,
but I mean it is important.
part of it takes place in terms of a story in Atlas.
Yes, Ilya mentioned she's from Atlas.
She mentions she's from
Yeah,
Atlas
no, I
and
know,
her
that's
experience
her
in
whole
Atlas.
it is her whole exposition.
Yeah.
Anyway, it was like, I was gonna say it could be a generational thing too, because
Yeah.
we know that or at least I know because I reread some stuff about Atlas.
Sure.
Is that during the Great War,
Yeah.
part of Atlas's stance and part of the reason that Vale didn't like them was that they were like to try to combat the Grimm being drawn to emotion. They tried to impose, I think, a sort of very strict non-emotional
Yes.
regime on their people. Sort
They
of.
did.
So, it could sort of be that there's still remnants of that in a remnant.
Oh,
there,
gosh.
I'm sorry.
That's
There
fine.
are still remnants of that in older generations, Ironwood. But
Yeah.
I guess not that he would have been, alive then, because it was 70 years before the series. But
Yeah.
whatever, you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
There could still be vestiges in their culture,
Yeah.
especially maybe in the military.
I would be very surprised if it wasn't in the military.
But then students who are younger people are probably
Yeah.
more in the more colorful
Yeah.
Ruby World of
The-
Remnant.
rebellious teens. You gotta go against the institution.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Anyway.
Anyway, so
Let's
back
see.
to the action of what's going on in the trailer. Is that so Blake and Son see this suspicious figure buying weapons at the market?
Oh, do you think he's just a White Fang dude?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Because Blake has him in a database
Yeah.
of White Fang members, presumably.
Yeah. I
Or
was
maybe
wondering.
just criminals. I don't know.
That's what I was
Okay,
trying to.
that's a fair
think.
distinction.
But
I assume it was. I think it's White Fang members.
I think it's a White Fang member.
Because
exactly.
Ilya.
Yes.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Anyway, yes. So they start going towards him.
Yeah.
He buys this knife, and then with zero hesitation, he just pulls out a gun.
Okay, so I actually watched that scene a lot because I like many things about it.
Okay.
One,
Go for it.
I like how Blake and Son casually walk up looking both to the right. Blake casually
slow-mo.
reaches for
Yeah.
her gun. They both turn, look at him at the same time, and then are both shocked by the fact that they are being looked at like, oh shit, he knows. But what gave them away
How
is
could they possibly have known?
but the what actually gave them away is the rabbit dude, the vendor. The vendor was about to do the purchase, and then his ears perked up, and he looked up, and he just kind of looked at him like, "The frick are those people doing?
Oh.
They're not being conspicuous at all." And then the other guy looked at the rabbit, and then the rabbit faunus, and then looked back behind him and then saw them like, that's not conspicuous.
That's a cool detail that I don't think I really caught.
Yeah, no, I liked it a lot. I liked that entire exchange because, like, I was trying to figure out how did they get caught, and it's like,
No, you're right.
It's the vendor. He ratted them out accidentally.
And one thing that I kind of want to mention, just like in passing, is that part of the whole, like, him just being able to purchase weapons like in broad daylight.
Yeah.
It's sort of like people probably, I mean, people probably know that he's like a White Fang member, or it's possible. And my point was that I feel like this is sort of shows how the people of Menagerie as a whole, like, still sort of support or at least condone the actions of the White Fang, or at least that could be a perspective on it.
Interesting. I don't know if if that vendor necessarily thought he was a White Fang member, or if it's just
Right.
There's
I
this
mean,
punk
it's
teenage
unclear.
kid that wants
Yeah.
to buy a butterfly knife.
Yes, I make my living by selling weapons to sketchy teens.
Probably.
What a life.
I mean, he might have other wares beside knives. I didn't see any others, but but I want to have faith. Oh yeah, and then the guy just starts open firing on them.
Oh yeah, zero hesitation. He shoots in the middle of a crowd,
Yeah, I mean,
which is like, wow, okay.
it seemed. So when I was rewatching, it kind of seemed that they were the only two in that exact area. Because if you saw, okay,
It's a gun.
no, wait, hear me out on this one. So when they were walking towards them, if you see that like space, it's actually pretty open. There are people like
Yeah, the closest people are like 5 feet away. That's like
yes,
that's like a million miles in gun units. No, that's ridiculous. They're in the middle of a crowd, and it's not like he's shooting with two hands.
No, he's shooting with one.
He just like whips out the gun and fires at them.
Yeah.
There's people everywhere.
I don't. Okay.
It's literally the middle of a marketplace. I'm not saying you can't aim guns.
Yes.
I'm just saying
That it was dangerous to random people.
completely irresponsible.
Okay, I can agree that it was irresponsible, but I felt to me.
Not to mention that Blake blocks the bullet and it ricochets in a random direction anyway.
Okay, you're not wrong about that one. Also, I love how Sun just kind of like, you just gotta put two hands over his head. It's like, Sun, if you actually get hit, you're screwed. It's like, that's not gonna do anything for you. But I don't know. I remember when I saw them walking up, there wasn't really that much around them or in front of them. Like, they were walking between people and such. And then, I don't know. Okay, you might be right because they didn't give us a great shot of that.
Yeah.
But, I mean, you certainly are correct that firing into a crowd is not okay.
Yeah.
And that there was most likely, arguably, a crowd in the area, considering it was a marketplace. So, yeah. One thing I want to note before we start talking about how the guy ran off,
Mm-hmm.
I think he left his money there.
Oh, did he?
I didn't see him grab him from the vendor.
Yeah. Well, that was nice of him.
I don't think the vendor guy threw him his money before he left. He probably ducked and covered as the guy started open firing.
Well, that's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then he starts to run away,
He does.
and he's booking it,
Yeah.
and
Fair.
Blake and Sun pursue.
Yeah. And then there's some more conversation if you want to go back to that.
Sure.
Although I think we might have.
Is it not something
covered
we've
it.
already covered? Because I
It's
feel like we've already
probably-
covered most of the conversation.
Honestly,
except for the end.
it's probably something we covered. The only thing I guess I wanna, just going back to that conversation a little bit, is that
1 20-minute
initially-
tangent later.
no, oh,
Sorry, go on.
is that Ilya didn't mind not being a Faunus for a while.
Oh yeah, that
Like,
that's a good point to bring up.
mhm.
Yeah. So just for context, Ilya says she goes to this prep school,
Yeah.
and the conditions are that she basically has to pass for human,
Yep.
and pretend she's not a Faunus. So she
Yep.
can't talk about her parents. She can't which are who are Faunus. She can't bring
Yep.
friends home,
Yep.
and she can't change color, which would be revealing that she's a Faunus.
Yeah.
And Blake's like, oh, that sounds terrible.
It wasn't.
And then he's like, no, it wasn't really at all.
Yeah, it was a good time to have friends
And
even,
yeah, and more so on top of that, when Ilya talks about how the girls at her school were like casual Faunus racism, were disparaging the Faunus, saying they were dirty and animals and liars.
Yeah.
She says she went along with it.
Yeah, because they're her friends.
Right.
And then we get to the part where we talk about that potentially her parents dying in this cave-in. One thing I want to point out is that when she said, "and my friends started snickering," that's when her eyes changed color. They changed from her normal blue to a lighter blue, which I think meant that, as she mentions later, that when she lost control and her entire body turned blue, was that memory for her is very sad.
Oh, that's a good point.
That's a very personal memory, which I think leads to the idea that
You're right. Yeah.
that maybe her parents died, or to me, it's like the loss of her friendship or the loss of the happy time she had there,
Right.
or that's something. It's like some sort of sadness and loss tied to this memory.
Are we gonna go back and talk about how like Ilya was like okay with just kind of like disparaging the Faunus? Like what do you think about that?
I mean, I think that's what I wanted to mention about that is how old do you think she was at that time? Because if she was like 10 or something,
Yeah,
and she had been there for a few years, I don't see why that's necessarily. It's not okay, but I can certainly see why she would do it.
Yeah, no, I feel like it's fairly understandable from a trying to fit in perspective.
Indeed. Especially if she's.
I just wanted to know if you had anything else to say about it.
The main thing I have to say about it is that it makes me feel sad that it even existed in Atlas at all. That there is this racism between Faunus and humans. Specifically, just because the two are different. And the fact that after she immediately turned colors, her quote-unquote friends became terrified of her is something that I guess is propaganda and kind of brainwashing from the end of Atlas of, oh, you must be afraid and you must look down on these Faunus, which is a very sad thing to see. And
Well, to be fair,
yeah,
they probably haven't really been exposed to Faunus before,
you're right.
and I doubt they've seen like a chameleon Faunus. So
yeah,
I don't know if any of that was possible, and if you just change colors right now, I'd probably be a little startled.
that's fair, I guess.
So like you're right. I mean, it is this inbuilt distrust that's been sort of
Yeah.
instilled into them, but like also it's pretty scary.
Yeah.
In their defense.
I mean, but if they were actually her friends, which it seems like they really maybe weren't.
Well, no, they're like 10-year-old girls.
Yeah. Well, we don't know,
Yeah.
but we're guessing sometime before
Ish.
before 14.
Close enough.
So, but I don't know. You maybe want to comfort your friend that just suddenly turned blue and is crying. I don't know. It's like, oh no, you turned blue. Although, I guess you can put the dots together of, oh, Faunus died in cave-in, person breaks down crying and turns blue.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, that's actually not a huge logical leap. I'm giving the kids too much credit.
Yeah, also it just like that sort of event happening, I think it just sort of underscores the Faunus are obviously being discriminated against in Atlas. And even though like Jacques claims that oh well, it's not really happening because we pay them the same, obviously these jobs that the Faunus are kind of being forced into are obviously dangerous. As we know, dust is very dangerous.
Yes.
Especially in a raw form.
Yeah, if you needed example, there was an unstable dust crystals. The guy tripped, an entire cave blows up.
Yeah, and
come on.
That sort of event doesn't seem like that uncommon.
No, that doesn't seem.
Which
which is
awful
bad.
Working conditions.
Yeah, and to just claim, oh, we're paying them the same, so they're being treated equally is very incorrect because. Okay, if they get the same wage, then what happens if they go outside into society? Will they be charged more because they're Faunus? Because if that's the case, then it doesn't matter if you pay them more. Or their living conditions like? Can they get a job easily? as you mentioned, that elite guy was talking about the fact that they can't really get another job. So if this is the only job they can have and it's really hard labor, and someone that has a much easier job and gets paid the same, that's not equal. Anyway, do you want to go on to the next line of that conversation? Because it's a doozy.
Yeah, why don't you go ahead and say it?
Well, I'll play the part of Blake. Sorry.
Don't be. I broke their teeth.
Yeah, no, it was good.
Wow.
My initial reaction
Ilya's
was
crazy.
My initial reaction was, dang.
Yeah.
What?
Same.
Also, the fact that she turned like all red and then her hair color changed too, that was cool.
Yeah, it's cool. It kind of points to her maybe being a little unhinged.
Yeah, I mean,
Just
so
a little bit.
so we were talking about how blue was maybe sadness, maybe it was like anger or justification or
Yeah, no,
violence.
yeah, that's pretty safe to say.
Yeah. It's also when she stood up.
Yeah, no,
She was sitting down the
she
entire
was
time.
inflamed with emotion.
Yeah.
And I mean, I just want to point out that like if you're trying to like put forward a good face for the Faunus and like show people that Faunus aren't that bad,
Don't punch him in the face. Jeez.
maybe like violence is not necessarily the answer. And I
Yeah.
think that that's actually like a really like it's pretty representative if you kind of don't think about it, of like where the White Fang is like under Adam's leadership.
Yeah. Punch first.
Cause like yeah, the girls were being assholes,
Yes.
which like is the injustice against the Faunus that the White Fangs exist to fight. But like
They're also little girls that you can argue have been brainwashed.
but
Kind of.
the response is kind of disproportionate.
Yeah.
In
I
that,
mean,
I mean,
They did laugh.
arguably it's not because I mean okay, it's not necessarily disproportionate, but like
Yeah.
beating people up or like breaking their teeth, it's like maybe not the best way to go about it.
Oh, I definitely agree with that. But let's just say 10 to 12. You have your 10 to 12-year-old friends start laughing over the fact that people died, and potentially your parents.
Right. I mean,
That-
okay, it's understandable.
Yeah, it's understandable that she would get pissed off afterwards. And also maybe to deal with her sadness. So. I
But
don't
just
know.
like in general.
Yeah.
I just feel like it's a good representation of like the White Fang's response in general
Okay.
under Adam's leadership. And I
Yeah.
think it's like it points to a the part of her that's pulled towards joining the White Fang
Mm.
because she like at
Well,
some
I mean, Adams is certainly a head in the White Fang, but you have that other person. What was her name? Call or something like that, leading it.
Sienna Khan.
Thank you. Yeah, Sienna Khan is the actual leader. He's just kind of doing some pretty violent things on the side.
That's true.
Yeah. So we don't know if that's actually representative of the entirety of the White Fang, but we certainly know it's Adam's viewpoint on the matter.
And you're right. I don't think that at this point we really know. I mean, we don't know anything at all about Sienna Khan. We have never met her.
No, we have not. We only know that Blake's dad used to be the leader, handed it off to Sienna Khan, and that Adam is part of that in some way, shape, or form now.
Right. But yeah, I guess I just meant that in my mind, Adam's view seemed to be representative. Like, I guess we've really only seen the Vale cell of the White Fang.
Yeah.
And then the two brothers. But
Yes.
his viewpoint definitely is something of a force inside of the White Fang.
I can certainly agree with that, considering all of the White Fang troops in Vale seem to be under his wing.
Mm-hmm.
That, or you can say Cinder or Torb.
What?
What is his Torchwitch? Oh my goodness gracious! I apologize. I apologize for my inability to pronounce names.
Oh man, not even close.
Not even close. Anyway,
Shall
we continue?
Yeah, do you want to go back to the action of the trailer?
Yeah. All right. So back to the real world.
Yes.
And the actual timeline.
Yes, that's what I meant. So they're
mhm.
chasing him
Yes.
down the street.
Yep.
He's booking it, as I
Yeah.
said.
Oh yeah.
then he pulls kind of a dick move, and the guy they're chasing, and he cuts this guy's cart loose.
Yeah. Before that, he runs out of ammo.
Oh yeah.
He
that's
open
true.
fires at them again, which, one thing I want to point out is that when he fires that gun, everyone in the crowd is like, oh, crud. And like
Well,
kind of ducking or hiding.
yeah.
Very justified.
Yes.
But I'm kind of curious that like no security shows up.
I mean, it all happens pretty fast.
Fair. But there's just like no police officer or anything like that. So it kind of makes you wonder what kind of
You're right.
system, like police force or is kind of
What's the
set up.
judicial system of Menagerie like?
I mean, I don't know. It seems like Blake's dad kind of...
That was a rhetorical question.
I see. Okay. Continuing on then, where he pulls...
but if you have any theories, I'd be interested to hear them.
I don't really have any beside the fact that there might be a council and it might be led by Blake's parents. That's about it.
Yeah, something like that.
Belladonna seemed to have some sort of hold on Menagerie for good reason.
Mm-hmm.
They seem great.
Yep.
But yeah. Anyway, the dick move.
Yeah, he cuts the cart loose, which, rude.
Yeah. This guy was just trying to fix his car.
And so basically the effect of that is Sun's taken out of this for a moment when he uses his semblance to slow down the cart.
Yeah.
And then
I want to
stop it.
actually... Two things
Okay.
about that.
Yeah.
One, he jumps off Blake, which I found hilarious. Like, why did you have to do that, son? I have no idea why you had to be in the air to summon your clones, but you did for some reason because you felt like it, as far as I could tell. Also, it looked a bit cooler, but
Sun would definitely do it explicitly for that reason.
I think he would do it explicitly for that, and also because just messing with Blake a little bit is just fun. Probably. And then two, I might just be blatantly incorrect and might be forgetting a time that he accomplished this. But can Sun produce more than 2 clones at a time?
I'm trying to remember the other times he's used his semblance.
Because it would be in Volume 2 if it ever showed up, because I don't think it happened in 3 or 4 where he summoned more than 2. I could just be incorrect.
I don't remember him summoning more than 2, but it could have happened because the 2 times we've seen him use it are when Ilya, right before Ilya stabbed him, and then during the car chase scene with the mech, Torchwick's mech, in Volume 2.
Is that really the only 2 times?
Uh,
What about against the giant sea creature? Grim?
Oh yeah, there was that too.
Yeah.
Of course. Of course you're right. I don't remember how many he summoned there.
Okay.
That just completely skipped my mind though. But
If
yes, those are the only times I can think of.
If any listener knows, please let us know.
Yeah,
Because
but
that is something I'm very curious about, simply because it makes me wonder how semblances work. It's like, oh, hey, is he limited to summoning 2? And even bigger question is, if he summons more, are their relative strengths reduced? Like, he stopped a cart with, 2 of them. What if he summoned 3, would they not have been able to do it? Like, I'm curious. I want to know.
these are good questions, but I'm afraid I have no idea.
Was he optimizing, or is that his limit? Like, I'm
Was he
very curious.
Can he just summon one giant sun clone?
That I don't think he can do that. I think they're his size and maybe his power level.
Weiss is like, oh, check out the summoning.
Uh,
And Sun's like, oh, that's cool. But check this out.
Aha.
Giant sun clone.
Giant sun. I summon giant sun
That'd be
in
so
attack
funny.
position.
Okay. Anyway, so yeah, basically the effect of that is that Sun is taken out of this, which is important for what comes next.
Yes.
Because Blake does like a cool wall running thing, whatever.
Yeah.
And she leaps down this side alley.
Yeah.
And she tosses her weapon
Yeah. Catches the guy.
in order to incapacitate, but she's not trying to kill him.
No.
Obviously.
No.
And then all of a sudden,
Snap.
Ilya shows up.
Bum, bum, bum.
The very person we were just listening to for the past 3 minutes of this trailer.
Yep.
What are the odds?
I don't know. She might have been important. That might have been the lead up to it. Not really sure. No.
So yeah, so we see Blake and Ilya. They're staring at each other.
Yeah.
They're on the opposite sides of this conflict.
Yep.
And I mean, what we see most obviously from this is that they're staring at each other.
Uh-huh.
Ilya sort of starts to point her weapon at Blake, and Blake glares back at her, and then Ilya's like, "Oh no."
Yeah.
It's like she doesn't actually want to hurt Blake.
Yeah.
So instead, she shoots the crate thing and it falls, and
Yep.
she uses that as cover
Yes, to get away.
to get away
Decoy.
with the guy.
A few things I want to mention.
Mm-hmm.
Initially, when Ilya pointed the weapon at Blake, Blake's face was initially shock, followed by quickly into anger. So I just want to mention that she was surprised that Ilya even pointed a weapon at her,
Uh-huh.
and then as a result got angry about that, because I don't know if that was angry at herself or like, oh hey, this person's pointing a gun at me, or her weapon at me. Although it turns out it's also a gun, obviously.
Goes without saying, yeah.
Like, without saying, it's also a gun. But proven by when she shot that little thing that was keeping the other thing up. But I just want to point out how, as you were saying, that this does seem like they don't want to hurt each other, because initially Blake's like, oh my gosh, this person might actually try to hurt me, and then Ilya's like, oh shoot, wait, I just pointed my weapon at her. That's not okay. I need to remedy this by getting away.
Right, and then obviously she gets away, and then Blake chooses not to pursue her
Yeah.
because she doesn't want to fight Ilya.
No.
She doesn't want this confrontation, which is inevitable to happen.
I mean, there is a good chance Ilya's gonna show up more in Volume 5. So,
I mean, yeah.
in some way, this is gonna get remedied, and probably not diplomatically, considering how that turned out last time. Poor son. Oof.
Yeah. There might be some grudges. Who knows?
Yeah. Maybe. He did get stabbed. He might not be too happy with her.
We'll see.
We'll see. But yeah, Blake kind of just watches her leave. Like, her eyes are kind of wide, and it seems like she's like kind of mixed of shocked and sad about the fact that Ilya just kind of ran away. The other guy ran away as well. Interestingly, as after Ilya showed up and pointed her weapon at Blake, the guy was still there. He didn't start running until Ilya actually made the decoy of like having the thing fall. Like, he turned around, I think, presumably to fight if needed.
Yeah.
Which supports the idea further that he's a White Fang guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I assume because Ilya saved him that he's a White Fang guy.
Yeah, pretty good assumption, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
No, I'm gonna be a vigilante that just stops Blake from getting this one random criminal. No.
Ilya's the watcher in the shadows.
Gosh darn it, no, I hope not.
Anyway, and then sort of the last thing that happens, well, the last sequence is that Sun shows up. And he's like, what happened, man? And
What happened?
And Blake's like, yeah.
He got away.
They got away.
No, she says he got away. She doesn't mention Ilya.
You're right. That's a good point.
She keeps things.
She 100% wants to avoid this.
Yeah, she does not even tell Sun, at least at this moment, that Ilya was even involved.
That's a good point. That's important, yeah.
And also, it seems like she feels like as soon as he asks what happened, she turns from her wide-eyed to like kind of looks away, and it seems like a bit angry. And
she gets very defensive.
I think she's angry with herself for that she kind of let them go.
I don't think she's angry with herself.
Okay.
I think she's conflicted.
Yes.
Might be a better word, because
probably
she obviously has this desire to take back the White Fang, as we know.
I mean, take back the White Fang or kind of just change the White Fang?
Well, that's the same thing.
I don't know. It's make them a force that's no longer violent.
Yeah.
Presumably,
like
which isn't
reclaim the White Fang.
Or I don't know if she wants to have anything to do with the White Fang.
Yes, Blake wants to reform the White Fang.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
To me, all of those things are synonymous.
Got it. Okay. Sorry. I did not realize, like, in my mind, they were not synonymous. It was that, oh, she's now going to take over the White Fang or something like that, which I do not think she wants to do at all.
Right.
I don't think she has any desire to take it over. I think she wants to stop them.
Yeah.
She doesn't want them to be a force that hurts people, Faunus, primarily because hurting people is bad in her mind, which very justified. And two, it's not what the Faunus should do in her mind.
Right.
It's not the way.
Right. But yeah. So in my opinion, she gets defensive about this because
Okay.
um yeah, like we were saying, she's obviously on the other side of this conflict. So she has that going for her. Like, she's supposed to take down the White Fang members and stop them from hurting people, stop
Yes.
their operations, however you want to say it, right? But she also has this relationship with
Yeah.
Ilya
Mhm.
that she doesn't want to hurt Ilya.
Yeah.
At least it seems, from this trailer.
I would
And
agree.
she doesn't, like, there's something complicated going on there
Yeah.
that we'll see more of.
I would hope so, considering it teasing us with this interaction and
Yeah.
and showing us, oh hey, these people are friends, and Blake, this person that's supposed to try to stop the White Fang, won't stop this person because they're old friends, and then the very last thing you see is that Ilya actually
Is looking back.
looks back to see if, I guess, maybe Blake was following, or like what Blake even decided to do. And initially when she looks back, her eyes are like kind of, to me it seems like she's kind of either sad or like kind of missing something. Like she feels kind of sad about the fact that maybe this is the way it has to be, or that she can't be friends with Blake. But then her face hardens a little bit and she puts on her mask and then goes away, which I think
Yeah.
shows that she, in her head, although it's not spoken, is that, oh, I want to be friends with Blake, but she's on the other side. That isn't going to work. I have to reaffirm the fact that White Fang, I believe what I'm doing is right.
Right. And
Yeah.
then she puts, the mask back on,
Yes.
which is kind of representative of that.
Very much so. And then leaves.
Yes.
And then we get a few seconds of smile.
Yes.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that.
Sure. I actually know none of the lyrics, so
Oh, well, fortunately for you, not only do I know them all, but I have them written down.
oh, smoke. Holy smokes.
Because it's like a 3-second song clip, so there aren't that many lyrics. Anyway, so
I mean,
Smile is
yeah.
the song that we hear after the trailer when it's like the coming October 14th.
Yeah.
Um,
Which, by the way, the little image they have for Blake's pretty good.
it is.
Yeah. The one they had, we didn't actually mention it, but the one for Weiss is also pretty good too.
Oh, yeah, their art's always good.
Yeah. Although I think Blake's is better in this one.
I'd have to look at them again.
Opinionated.
Anyway,
Anyway,
the song,
continue.
which we hear for like 3 seconds, the lyrics are, it's called Smile, and
Yeah.
it's also like Ilya's theme, presumably.
Presumably.
Um,
Well, that's because you believe it's an Ilya trailer.
yeah, it is. The lyrics are, show them how you smile. It's only for a while. Take what you need and leave them to bleed. Let them know bitter while your revenge is sweet.
Okay, yeah, that does sound a lot like Ilya. Okay.
Yeah.
She smiled in this trailer. She got some revenge by punching a guy. She enjoyed the fact that she got, well, not guy, girls, was seemingly enjoyed the fact that she did. Yeah, okay, yeah, I'm convinced already.
Yeah, so clearly you're not as familiar with this song as I am. So
No.
let me just ask you, what do you think Ilya is talking about?
Smile for a while. I would say that directly correlates exactly to the stuff that happened in this trailer with the memory of, oh, hey, we were friends.
Right. So
Now we're not.
So you're saying it's the face that she was showing to the humans, the non-Faunus.
No, I think it's the face that she was showing to Blake. And I guess, no, if you put it like that, also to the humans.
Okay, I was trying not to lead you in a direction, but yeah, because you can interpret it, I think, to be like, because this song Ilya's talking about putting up a front, sort of.
Yes.
And, only for a while, and then once
Yeah.
she takes what she needs,
Yeah.
then she's free to exact revenge or whatever. So she could be talking about the humans, or like the girls as a representative that we saw of that, how she
Yeah.
pretends to be a person.
Yeah.
And then after, that kind of falls apart, she sort of lashes out at them.
Yeah.
She could be talking about Blake, right? Like you said.
That's what I think, but yeah.
And,
I mean,
there's...
yeah. I think it kind of goes back and forth, because I think the smiling, because it could be the humans partially because she did enjoy her time with them when she was considered a human, and as soon as that was over and she couldn't anymore because now they know that she's a Faunus. She lashed out, presumably because she was very sad about the fact that the Faunus died and potentially her parents as well. So that can easily turn into the revenge part, specifically because of how the White Fang's current view on things is. Of of let's destroy the humans.
Woo, revenge, woo.
Woo.
Yeah.
I'm Adam and I cut off people's arms for fun.
And then I think the third meaning that I think is worth mentioning is that so we know that there are some antagonists that we've at least, and Ilya is an antagonist as far as we've seen, because she stabbed Sun.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little, I would say that it gets a little bit blurred due to this trailer, but continue.
The point is that she's sort of, she's an antagonist, but she's sort of a very blurry antagonist.
Youth.
There are some other antagonists that we've...
She's a chameleon, blurry. She can shift. I'm sorry, I liked it.
And there are some other antagonists that we've seen that we've also been kind of unsure as to their alignment at times. Specifically, I'm talking about how it seems like Emerald at a certain point is in over her head and she's considering her options. At least, that's what it seems like. And then also Cinder, sort of to an extent, has the same thing happen to her during Volume 4 when she sees how insane Tyrion is, and she's sort of like questioning, like, do I really want this? So, do you I'm just bringing up the point that Ilya has the chance of switching sides, and so maybe the song could be about her current affiliations, or maybe it's about all of this, and that's just her character in general.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, being a chameleon kind of means that you can put on all those different faces and masks. So
she that's her.
So she is a chameleon. But in terms of changing sides, I don't know about that. Currently, it seems like she's pretty firmly on the and I say that because in the end, she is deciding to go with that. Which means that is currently. It's not out of the question because she has this it seems like affiliation with Blake, and as one side does seem to be to some extent the Belladonna family, and the other side is the White Fang,
right?
The current White Fang. It's a possibility, but I don't think it's that likely.
Okay, just think it's worth bringing up.
I thank you for bringing it up. But I feel that at the moment has made a decision about what. I mean, to her suddenly Blake shows up again, and it kind of makes her waver a little bit. But it seems like she's getting back to one side. She's getting over the shock of, oh hey, look, it's my old friend Blake. So I think she's gonna stay a little bit firmly rooted in the White Fang side, but who knows? Is there anything else you would like to mention?
No. I think that's it.
Okay, I have one more thing.
Okay.
So, this is something that just came to mind, especially when you brought up Tyrion, of why I thought maybe the girls or maybe Atlas or why humans might be afraid of the Faunus.
Well, if your sample size is Tyrion, that's pretty understandable.
Okay, so it's more of a few things of the idea that, one, they're different, which typically organisms find that things that are different to them are scary. But two is that they could pass as human, meaning that, yes, some of them could pass as human, which to a human might be terrifying. Like the idea of, oh, you might have this spy.
They walk among us.
Yeah, they walk among us. They might be spies. Like, Volume 4,
you're right.
When I saw Tyrion, I did not think he was a Faunus.
No, you're right. I had no idea that he was a Faunus until it was revealed to us.
It took a scorpion tail for me to go, holy crud, he's a Faunus.
Yeah, it was a dramatic
That's
reveal.
Amazing. But it just makes me think, how many other characters out there are just Faunus and we just don't know?
Yeah, that's a weird thought.
Also, it seems like it might matter, and like for all you know, in like Atlas's history, you had people that were Faunus and then like did various things, and then they're like, oh crud, like they weren't human, and that's.
I mean, you're right. One of the subtler themes of this trailer is how the Faunus have this sort of battle for passing for human.
Yeah.
So I think it's a good point to consider, like it's certainly possible that there are other people that exist, especially, in Atlas or in other places where this
Yeah.
this racism or whatever is still rampant,
Yeah.
or seems to be. There are characters that could be like that, could pull the hidden Faunus thing. I mean, Blake was hiding she was a Faunus.
Yeah.
And, she's in Vale, which is fairly progressive towards Faunus as far as the kingdoms go. But, there's still a lot of inherent racism, as we see in Volume 1 when the bullies are tormenting Velvet.
Yeah. Indeed. And then how we already mentioned how Weiss and her initial reactions to Faunus and Blake.
Right.
But no, it is interesting that there are people that are Faunus that could easily pass as human, because it seems like they're not that different. Anyway, that is the last little note I had.
I think I know I've told you this, I think, in person.
Okay.
It was a while ago, not on the podcast.
Sure.
But when I watched RWBY the very first time, like the very first time that I watched RWBY,
Yeah.
I didn't realize that we weren't supposed to know that Blake was a Faunus, because I thought that her bow, I didn't realize her bow was a bow. I thought it was just cat ears.
Oh, that's hilarious.
I didn't realize that it was a bow concealing cat ears, and I thought.
I just thought they were giant cat ears.
No, I just thought they were standard. I thought it was just like a standard cat girl thing, and I was like, oh, okay, that's cool. That's great. I didn't realize that it was a bow. So it was really confusing to me when Weiss she just starts shitting on the Faunus and the White Fang, and she's like, yeah, the Faunus are all just a bunch of criminals. And I'm like, Weiss, there's a Faunus right there. What are you saying?
That's hilarious.
And then, so
oh no,
the whole sort of reveal that Blake is a Faunus was kind of lost on me, because I was like, yeah,
she's a Faunus.
I know.
Oh gosh.
It was more like an anti-reveal. Like, oh, I was supposed to think she wasn't a Faunus. So that was just me being dumb.
Not really. I mean,
it's not dumb, because it turns out I was right.
You were right, and also I can see why you would just kind of look at her and be like, "Oh, cat girl."
Yeah.
It's not a huge leap. I mean, the bow covers the cat ears because they kind of look like cat ears. So, I think you're fine. I just am trying to imagine, because for me it was a reveal. That was like.
Then I'm like, wait, you guys didn't realize?
Yeah. Yeah, no. It was for me. It was a reveal. I was like, oh, she's a Faunus. It's like cool.
Yeah, no, I just thought she was a Faunus the whole time.
I mean, I didn't think she was a Faunus the whole time, but it was just kind of like, huh, cool, okay, that's neat. Like, for me, I just kind of don't get why they're racist toward Faunus. So for me, it's like, oh, hey, look, a Faunus, cool.
Anyway, yeah. That's about all about that.
Cool. Alrighty, let's put a wrap on the non-spoiler section. Oh, yes. So, summary. We talked extensively about the conversation aspect and the actual events going on, and various theories about, like, Atlas stuff and White Fang stuff and Ilia stuff.
Yep, that was a good summary.
I mean, and also, apologies for the order. There wasn't any.
To be fair, the whole trailer is kind of muddled, so it's kind of hard to go through it in order, because it's like a 2-track thing.
Yeah.
So, whatever.
But yeah, updates for the podcast, real briefly, that on SoundCloud, we are out of free time. As always. So the episode that will remain on there will be the one that is most recent in the RWBY series. So episode 14 is going to stay there until volume 6 stuff starts coming out.
Yeah, so this is only going to be on YouTube for now.
Yeah, this is only be on YouTube for now. And maybe another platform if we decide to put it on another platform. But that's a different story. Besides that, we're going to continue the trailer. So next time is Yang.
And yeah.
And yeah, so thanks for listening to the non-spoiler section of the Blake trailer.
Please stop listening if you haven't seen Volume 5.
Yeah, we're about to talk about some serious stuff. So yeah, if you haven't watched the rest of Volume 5, please stop now. We don't want to ruin anything for you. It's a good volume. It's worth watching one time without knowing what's going to happen. Okay.
And let's transition into spoiler mode.
Spoilers. All right. Where do you want to start? Because I want to start with the fact that we're going to Atlas. And what if we meet people that Ilya know? Is Ilya going to Atlas? I am very concerned about this. If Blake's like, oh yeah, I'm going to go with my team. And Ilya's like, I will go with you. It's like, no, you have to do White Fang stuff.
Let's. I was going to talk about that second, but let's start there.
Okay.
Yeah. So is Ilya coming with them to Atlas?
I think so.
She must.
I don't see why she wouldn't now.
She must be.
I would be very surprised if she didn't, considering she's from Atlas.
Right. So she'd probably be useful to have around, at least.
Yeah, and also we need to get more about the Ilya-Blake relationship, primarily because they're good friends. And then also because it seems like Ilya had a crush on her.
Yeah, I was going to say, good friends is a little bit of an understatement.
Well, now it seemed like a one-sided thing, but...
Ilya straight up admits, as in the most romantic setting imaginable, as Blake is being kidnapped, that she actually had a secret crush on Blake. We've all seen the episode, unless you haven't, but I presume you have.
If you haven't, we told you to watch Volume 5.
Anyway, Ilya has this huge crush on Blake that Blake has no idea about.
Yeah.
And we know that Ilya switched sides, right? Obviously.
She does, yes.
And
in a way that we didn't really think would work out nearly as nicely, but it did.
Right, and it works out really well. But the thing is that after the point of her switching sides, we don't really see much of the dynamic of her and Blake interacting.
No.
Because they pretty much just go to Haven.
Which is fair.
Which, yeah, running out of episodes, whatever.
Yeah.
But, so I'm interested to see what the dynamic is like between Blake and Ilya now that that's kind of like out there, especially with Sun there.
Huh.
And especially with Yang there. Not that there's, any sort of canonical relationship, but this volume has made it pretty clear that Blake and Yang's have sort of complicated feelings about what happened, especially in regards to each other.
Yeah.
As we saw when they got reunited, and as we saw when Yang got all moody when she was talking about Blake coming back to the team.
Yep.
And Blake's apprehension looking at Yang. The first thing that Blake says when she sees Team Ruby is Yang. So I'm really curious, and I hadn't really thought about it until this volume because it kind of brings Ilya until this trailer, which kind of brings Ilya to the forefront. Yeah. Like, what is the dynamic going to be like between Blake, Sun, Yang, and Ilya if they're all traveling together? Like, it's going to be weird. What do you think?
I mean, I was about to say, do you want me to do a rundown?
Yeah.
Sure. Okay. Blake with Ilya, A-okay. Blake with Sun, probably okay. Ilya and Sun, probably a bit awkward.
No, I think they'll be fine because Sun...
You'll think they'll be fine?
Yeah, Sun forgave Ilya. But you mean in terms
that's why I think it'll kind of be fine. I think that it might be a little bit awkward when they both are kind of like, I want to spend time with Blake. No, I want to spend time with Blake.
Yeah,
no, I want to spend time with Blake.
How is... So, like...
If Sun picks up on the fact that Ilya has wait, he might have been... he was probably listening in, so he might already know.
Oh, you're right.
Oh, man.
Wow.
Or maybe he since he's so dense, he wouldn't have realized.
Well, she said it. I mean...
Well, no, she kind of blushed.
She didn't really say it, but she definitely said it.
Oh, we didn't even throw Adam into the mix. Shit.
Well, yeah, Adam's not traveling with them, fortunately.
Fortunately. Oof. Dang, I don't even want to know what it's like traveling with him.
At the risk of making this a relationship podcast.
Oh, crud. Yeah, you're right.
Blake and Sun.
Yeah.
They're not dating.
Nope.
But...
The father's already at the mode of, I won't accept this child.
They're kind of like, sort of dating. They're definitely not.
I would say that.
But they're like good friends.
Yes.
In like a vaguely relationshipy kind of way.
Yeah. I mean, they are certainly attracted to each other to some degree.
So, like, there's that.
Yeah, I would say maybe a little bit more on Sun's end, but...
And we know that Ilya, beyond being a little partially unstable,
Ugh.
also has a history of being jealous of Blake being in relationships with other people.
She already stabbed Sun.
She did already stab Sun, and that was before she...
Oh gosh, you're right. What's next?
Ilya's a crazy yandere.
Oh no. No, she's better than that.
Yeah, so I don't know.
She's a better character.
Yeah, she is. I'm kidding.
Okay.
I'm joking.
Okay.
But I'm really unsure about how Ilya's going to react to this. It's what seems to be a sort of budding relationship between Sun and Blake.
That's a good point. I think Ilya might get a little bit concerned, but I also think Ilya's kind of a good enough friend that she'd be okay with the fact that Blake is interested in other people beside her, and as long as they still kept up a relationship.
Just like what happened with Adam?
I mean, okay, so it's a little bit different now, I would say, because the relationship with Adam's like, oh, Ilya was, like, in her mind, kind of, like, ignored.
Yeah.
Wow, we don't know what the dynamic is like, but I have a feeling that Sun is more of an inclusive guy. Like, if he were to, like, see okay, no. But if he were, like, to see Ilya, like, hang out on Arnold's like, hey, hey, Ilya, you should come over here and hang out. Like, he's also dense, so...
You're right. It's hard to say. And
so
then,
I have a feeling he'd be much more... He's much more of the guy that is like, oh, hey, friends. Like, he took Blake and it's like, hey, Blake, you should go talk to your friends.
right. And then, what do you think the dynamic between...
Like, honestly, he's great for her, but...
we've already obviously seen Sun and Yang interact a little bit. We know that they're fine for the most part.
Beside Yang probably thinking Sun's a dope, yeah.
Yeah, but how do you think Ilya's gonna react with Yang?
Oh, probably fine, unless it turns out Yang has a crush on Blake. In that case, I don't want to know what's gonna happen.
That would be wild.
Yeah, because I don't think Yang would give up.
We're gonna have the Bachelor arc of Ruby.
Gosh, this sounds horrible.
That sounds hilarious.
I honestly don't think the Yang aspect is going to be an issue. I think they'll just be good friends.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really do the shipping thing, but like it's pretty hard to ignore how much that Rooster Teeth has played up this relationship over the course of the season, which is the only reason I keep bringing it up, because it's in the series that there is some sort of tension between them.
Yeah, but it seems like that tension was kind of relieved in the end.
Yeah, but we'll see.
You're right. We will see to the degree that it actually is resolved. I mean, it seems like it got resolved because, okay, you had Yang's emotional moment with Weiss. Then you had Blake kind of saying, Yang. And then the zoom in onto Yang's face and like, oh my goodness, it's a Blake. And then you had kind of Blake timidly like being there, like, oh no, she's gonna hate me. And then Yang's like, you're fine.
Yeah, and then the song and all that.
Yeah. So I think it'll be fine. I think if there is a complication, it will come from...
It's just going to be so funny.
I mean, I think the most hilarious moment is going to be Sun just kind of like, wait. You like Blake. I like Blake. What the frick is going to happen now? What is this? Like, okay, we need to sit down and do something about this. And Blake's like, I'm gonna be over here in this corner. Wait, you're not going anyway.
Sun's like, wait a minute. You like Blake. I like Blake. Gira in the background. What?
Gira just kind of shows up, looks in the room, and says, all of you leave my house now.
Gira flips table. I'm out.
No, Gira says, I need to speak with all of you. Just grabs them all in a giant bear hug and leaves. And Blake was like, no, Dad, don't take them away. He's like, I'll be back, Blake. Don't worry. And then Callie's just kind of sitting there twiddling her thumbs. So like, man,
well,
Blake.
I think she's nice.
Yeah. No, and then,
thanks, Callie.
And then she's like, wow, Blake, you're really popular. I'm glad you made so many friends. They all seem nice. I mean, Callie's great. Callie just seems like... if we really want to get into this more, it seems like Callie enjoys the idea of Sun being around.
Yeah, Callie obviously liked Sun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dad doesn't, but
Yeah.
That-
So
anyway,
Anyway,
let us
less-
let that chip move.
less on that specific subset of that topic.
Yeah.
But back to the topic of Ilya's going to Atlas.
Yeah. Right. That is how we initially started this conversation.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting.
Yes.
Do you think that any of the other Faunus are going to come?
No.
They're just gonna hang out, do their own thing.
They're gonna work with Blake's dad to get the White Fang back
Right.
to where it needs to be.
Cause I'm just thinking,
Because they don't need Ilya there.
yeah,
Unless the only reason Ilya would and honestly probably should stay behind is because she knows a bunch of White Fang stuff, so she can start rooting people out. But they also
Yeah.
have the other brother in custody. Although I don't imagine cracking that nut's gonna be easy because he's probably real pissed.
To be fair, Ilya does mention at the end of the final episode
Right.
that
No one's gonna
the
follow.
people won't
yeah.
follow Adam after he abandoned them.
Which is fair. And I agree. I don't know why they would. If he clearly, if you want to look at the example of what a bad leader is the guy who just tried to kamikaze all of his
True.
people.
True. Like, dude, what are you doing?
It's like, do you want to get us all killed? And
Adam's like, eh.
he's like, no. He's like, I don't care what I have to do to make the humans pay for what they did to me because I'm a angsty teen.
Yeah.
That's not my
Anyway,
impression.
what I was
Yeah.
getting at is that
Oh gosh.
we know that Atlas is still pretty racist towards Faunus.
Yeah.
So I'm just curious what's gonna happen when Blake and Ilya show up, and Sun,
Oh yeah.
and I just wonder how
Oh,
they'll
with Weiss.
with Weiss no less.
Oh, that's actually be really cool. That's a really neat interaction. We'll be like, oh my gosh, isn't that the Schnee daughter? Yes, the Schnee daughter with some punish. Oh my goodness gracious! All the gossip.
Exactly. There's a whole lot going on there with the culture of Atlas from the limited amount that we already know about the culture of Atlas.
Yeah.
And
That. Oh gosh.
I mean, we know that. I mean, that alone is going to get Jock involved
Yeah.
because he may disown her, whatever.
Yeah.
He's still going to be invested in maintaining the Schnee name,
Yeah.
etc.
Yeah. And if he doesn't disown her, if he didn't disown her already, oh boy.
Yeah.
Consider all the necessary paperwork stamped and filed away. Oh no. Weiss doesn't deserve this mess. The Faunus don't deserve this mess.
And it just makes me think, because the message, the message of the new White Fang, is about how we're going to present ourselves in a better light to humans. We're going to try to get along with them and show them that we're not really different, whatever. And that's really going to be put to the test right away because they're heading straight to Atlas.
Yep.
Which is really the heart of this.
Yep.
And I mean, we saw even in season 5 when they were in near Haven, in Mistral. Yeah, that's what I was looking for.
Okay.
When they were in Mistral, well, when Crow went to that bar,
Yeah.
there was the "No Faunus Allowed" sign.
Yeah.
Which is it's pretty blatant.
Yep.
So, I can only imagine what it's like in
Atlas.
in Atlas, especially among the upper crust of Atlas.
Security check. You Faunus? No. Look
Right.
like Faunus to me. You ain't getting in here.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
It
Yeah.
makes me wonder how they get it. It's like Weiss just kind of shows up Schnee badge. It's like, oh, okay, you can pass. Wait, is that Weiss Schnee? Yeah, I'll bring her back here. She's not part of the family anymore. Oh gosh. Yeah, I mean, I imagine Crow might have a way in, or they just call up Ironwood. It's like, hey, can we come in? And no. And then Weiss calls up Winter's like, hey, can we come in?
Yeah,
No,
I mean,
don't think
them
so.
getting in is not really an issue in my mind.
Oh, actually, Oz can just be like, hey, Ironwood. what?
Yeah, exactly. Right, it's not an issue, but I'm
It's like,
just,
oh, you're alive? Okay.
I'm
Let
just-
him in.
I'm just interested how they're going to depict this this interaction with all these Faunus entering Atlas.
No, that's a pretty potent idea, considering that I don't know if they're going to be really allowed in, or how much trouble they will really have. I honestly kind of have a feeling it'll just be a kind of badge check. Oh, okay, you guys can come in, and they just have a bunch of people covered up, And then at some point, one of them's gonna be like, "Why do I have to cover myself up?" And then there's gonna be a whole big dramatic scene of like, "Oh my gosh, Vanish," and then call the cops, it's Vanish, and stuff like that.
Yeah, we'll see.
Man, I've been doing a lot of weird accent stuff today.
It happens. It's
Yeah.
fine.
Okay.
Do you have anything else you wanted to say about Ego and Atlas?
No, I like the idea that you brought up about the fact that, oh, hey, they are bringing Faunus into Atlas, which is something I didn't think about, considering they're probably going to show up on the Schnee Manor at some point. And
Yeah, that's
bringing
definitely gonna
Faunus
happen.
there is probably something that the Jock does not want to happen.
Yep.
So yeah, I'm really curious to see how that entire situation is going to work out and if it will work out smoothly.
Yep.
Do you think it'll work out smoothly? Just guess. That's about my thoughts on it.
No.
Yeah. We're talking about Crow here. Like, his bad luck's gonna kick in so well. It's gonna be horrible. Like you know those moments where it's gonna be like, oh hey, they're about to go through. They're like have them covered up, and like a gust of wind is like knock off one of their hats, and then it's like, oh look, it's a Faunus. Like it's gonna be something stupid like that in terms of bad luck.
I mean, Jock is just such an asshole that like, there's no way that you could possibly ever have a reasonable discourse with him. And that's going to be the whole point of the Weiss sub-arc that's inevitably happening in this next volume.
Yeah. Oh, something I wanted to bring up is at the end of Volume 5 was the change of the White Fang. So maybe this arc will be the change of Atlas to be more accepting.
Maybe.
Maybe. Or
I mean,
maybe
it's
this is
definitely-
the arc where Atlas goes to shit. Who knows?
Yeah, we'll see. I don't know how much we want to speculate about this here, but then again, I don't know where else we'd speculate about it. But just thinking about the general structure of the volumes in general.
Yeah.
Like the first 3 volumes were, in Vale.
Yeah.
And then Volume 4 and Volume 5 were in Mistral.
Yep.
I would sort of expect for volumes, like if they're following the same pattern of like one location per 3 volumes, we obviously don't have a big enough sample size. But my point is, I would have expected them to move to Atlas in Volume 6, Volume 7.
I mean, it seems like they're doing. So at the moment they're moving from Mistral to.
And as we know, it does take them an entire volume in general to move from one place to another.
I mean, I have a feeling that that this might not take that long, considering they might just have an airship like Weiss did.
I'm sure it would be ridiculous if Volume 6 was just traveling.
No, I mean, so when you just mentioned they did 3, they did 2 in Mistral. If they go straight to Atlas, so then if it's a 3, 2, 1, what if it's a countdown?
I don't know. I'm just thinking about.
I don't know.
I was just thinking about it.
Also, the first 2 arcs are build up.
First 2 volumes.
The first 2 volumes. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah,
First two volumes are kind of build up, setting up the stage for Ruby, Remnant, and other stuff. Just like getting a feel for the world and the characters.
You're right.
Wow. Then it goes bam, 3, bam, and then 4 is like, oh, okay, they're gonna travel to this place, and oh, hey, the animation's gonna be a little bit choppy. Oh, I know I rat on Rooster Teeth for that a bit, and I've worked a bit with Maya in animation, so I honestly can't blame them for having issues.
I'm sure it's hell better than I could do. I have no skills at all.
Oh, very much so. It was not a simple task at all to animate something basically. So kudos to them for trying and then, in my opinion, succeeding in Volume 5. Volume 4 was just the test phase. It's fine. Anyway, you said that you had a first thing to mention.
Oh, well, it's just kind of a small thing. But and I guess it's kind of related to what we were talking about. But I was just going to say, if this is Ilya trying to hit on Blake, she does a really shit job of it.
Yeah.
Because she comes off as kind of, like, unhinged, at least to me. And, like...
I mean, it's...
Like, that's not...
Yeah, you're right.
And, like, I just wanted to say that. Like, no wonder Blake had no idea.
Says, yeah, no, don't worry. I broke their teeth. It's like, dang.
Jesus.
It's like, okay. I thought we were having a nice conversation here. A nice intimate conversation. Then you mentioned teeth breaking. Dang. That kills the moment.
That's really
Yeah.
really all I wanted to say.
Okay. In that case, the other thing I have to mention is that kind of in general, some of the things that happened in Volume 5 was Blake giving Ilya a chance to kind of join her side or like not fight and not really wanting to fight her, which we saw in this trailer as well. She didn't really want to fight Ilya. Ilya didn't really want to fight her.
Uh-huh.
And that continues through the arc as in the volume as you see this conflict develop.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I'm going to kidnap you and bring you to Adam because you're not going to let your family die. And then I have a crush on you and other stuff. And then Blake's like, no, Ilya, I'm going to stop you from hurting my family, and then it's not going to fight you for real, and make you be a good guy again.
That was a good summary of the Belladonna arc.
Oh, thank you. But I don't know. It seemed very fitting to have this be the beginning of this conflict between Ilya and Blake. Or not the beginning, but a nice transition from Volume 4 into Volume 5 of this.
Yeah, looking back, I mean, yeah, it's just very representative of what happens during Volume 5 and this whole conflict. With that being said, I really don't think there's that much more to say about it because, like, all of the things that, in my opinion, all of the things that this kind of teases and foreshadows, they're resolved in Volume 5. And, like, we've already, like, the whole conflict is...
Not all of it.
Well, yeah, but, like, the whole, like, you know, fighting with Ilya, you know, dramatic friendship, whatever.
Yeah.
It's all resolved. So, like, I don't really have anything more to say about that part.
Okay. I mean, we already talked a lot about what could happen in Atlas, and what we believe is going to happen in Atlas, and that is where that's
kind of where this carries over in the future.
Yeah. But in terms of potential issues that might come up from this Belladonna conflict that happened, because I think mentioning the Belladonna stuff with the Blake, although you think Ilya trailer, would still be important, is that I think that brother is going to do something.
You think so?
I think he might be the new Adam.
Mm.
Not nearly to the degree that the Adam could, but I think he might be like something. He might be a rogue. Like, if there is a rogue group, it's him. He is currently captured, and I don't know if he ever is going to show up again, but I want him to.
In my personal opinion, I think we're going to leave the events of Menagerie behind for now.
Oh, I don't think it'll really be an issue in Volume 6. I don't think it'll be something that happens in Volume 6, but I think it is something that will matter.
Maybe eventually.
Okay.
Because at some point we will inevitably come back to Menagerie, but who's to say when that's going to be?
Correct. I mean, I don't know. I just have a feeling that those issues are not fully addressed, and that brother is very sad about the fact that his other brother died. Also, I like that other brother. I've mentioned that before, but
yes,
I am unhappy that he perished. Also, Sun used 2 clones again.
Yeah.
Is he optimizing? I really don't know. If someone has any ideas, please.
I don't think that, like, the power is split up differently if there's a different number of clones or anything. That just seems weird.
What, if his power level disperses across his clones?
I mean, I don't think, like, if he makes, like, 5 clones, they'll all be, like, you know, a 5th as strong as him or something.
Oh, you think they'd all... That'd be really good if they all keep the same strength?
Well, I mean, it probably has to do with, like, the amount that he controls, like, his semblance and the strength of his aura, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
Which is...
Stuff we've talked about before.
Stuff we've talked about at length before. And,
Not something we have more information to go off now.
Something we still don't know. Yeah, and, like... I mean, it's probably just limited by that, and we know that... I mean, it would probably change if he was feeling some sort of strong emotion, as we saw when Emerald did her massive illusion.
That's true.
So, yeah, that's what I think about that.
Okay. All right, one last thing I want to bring up. This is something we mentioned in the episode where we talked about Chapter 14, but Adam, briefly, What do you think's gonna happen to that boy?
To Adam?
Yep.
That's a good question.
Yeah.
I mean, I think he must go to Salem. Like,
Okay.
I don't know what else he would do. Well,
I mean, I agree. But
yeah, because I mean, if what Ilya said is true and that no one from the former White Fang or whatever is going to follow him anymore, I mean,
I think the brother is the only one who would, but he's captured right now.
right. And so, I mean, Adam's motivation is going to be our Belladonna's, which it has been.
Yeah.
And so he doesn't, like you've talked about before, he doesn't really care about the faunus. It seems that he more so cares just about himself.
Yep.
I don't think he's going to have an issue in abandoning the cause of the White Fang to just be like, I'll join up with Salem because Salem's going to give me the means to my end, which is killing Blake and Blake's friends.
And humans.
Yeah, and I mean, his goal of killing humans like already aligns with Salem's goal of killing humans.
Well, that's the one that's been prescribed and
Right.
told.
Yes. As far as we know. That's what we've been told by all of. Yeah. We talked about that as well.
Yes, we have talked extensively.
Salem's true motives are unknown.
Yes, and we believe that honestly her
We're probably being misled.
Yeah, we were probably being misled. It is probably an overstatement in terms of what her goals are, and that she wants the elimination of an entire race.
But Adam certainly does.
Adam wants to kill.
And as long
the
as he
humans
thinks that that's what
or
Salem
enslave
wants,
them.
he's going to be on board.
Yeah, it's not going to be hard to convince
Salem
him.
will absolutely, of course, use him.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, he's just going to go hang out with Salem. If Cinder dies. Or, I know that's a little controversial to you.
Yep.
But if Cinder ends up being dead, then Adam can just replace her on the Elite Four Council.
Elite Four Council. One more thing I just thought of.
Uh-huh.
I don't think we mentioned this last time, and I believe it will become relevant because if Adam does join Team Salem is probably going to Atlas. I don't know why they wouldn't. Considering a relic is going there, the Winter Maiden is probably there, and another relic is assumingly there, but Yang never saw Adam.
No, you're right. Yeah.
She didn't. She was underground.
That's a good point. Yeah, no, and we were kind of looking forward to this whole thing where well, what happens when Yang sees this object of her trauma.
Yeah, will her post-traumatic symptoms kick in?
And we still don't have an answer.
Will Blake have to snap her out of it? What's gonna happen? Will she lose it? Because we've seen that she has gained a lot of self-control.
Right.
Very impressively. But this is certainly something that can shatter that for a moment. This might bring her back to the time where she was crippled and hurt and stuff like that, and it might really put her out of the zone and put her in danger.
It's hard to say if that sort of thing will still affect her after all that we've seen coming from her.
I think it would, because she still shakes, and she still has, she's still not healed completely of that. She's not emotionally healed from that. That hasn't been addressed. The emotional aspect of that hasn't been addressed. She's moved past the physical limitations and the mentality that she had. She's moved past and fixed some of her weaknesses, but she hasn't, as we mentioned that John's trauma wasn't dealt with and it burst in this volume, Yang's trauma hasn't been dealt with properly. So I think it will take form in the next volume, assuming Adam joins Salem goes to Atlas, which if those things don't happen, I am surprised.
Yeah. I see what you're saying, but I just feel like that my belief in Yang's strength has grown so much this volume that it'll be interesting to see, but I don't know what kind of effect it'll have on her.
Okay. I feel that Yang's will is not up to the task. I think she will fail the will test. I'm just saying. I don't think she will actually be able to pull that off.
Yeah, I'm excited to see that.
I think that is pretty much one of the only things, barring someone dies right in front of her, that would make her lose it.
I'm not 100% convinced, but we'll see.
I'm also not 100% convinced about the dying ground in front of her because she didn't lose it when Weiss fell.
Yeah, no, you're right.
So I think the only thing that will currently mess her up is Adam showing up. And honestly, I'm starting to get a little bit more of a feeling that she would be more okay than I believe she would be. But I just feel like the trauma and fear, like fear makes people do pretty messed up things, obviously.
Lionheart.
Yeah, very much so. So I think the trauma would get to her, but I think we can mix our theories by saying that it will get to her, but it won't be overly difficult for her to overcome.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Do you have anything else to say about this trailer in regards to Volume 5 knowledge?
No, that's all I had.
Okay. The only thing I guess I could potentially reiterate is that although it didn't show up in this trailer where Blake didn't use her semblance, which kind of makes you wonder. It really tells the fact she wasn't trying to chase after Ilya, but how we, or at least I believed, that in her fight with Ilya, her semblance looked different than it did in her fight with
Yeah, you're right. And
Adam.
again, it's hard to say whether that's an animation thing, an updated animation thing, or whether it's a genuine change in her semblance or in her personality causing a change in her semblance, which is what I was sort of pitching a while ago.
And I believe you were onto something when you said that. So I think that will
Yeah.
become very relevant later.
It's definitely a very real possibility.
Yes.
And I would be excited if they took that angle. And we could learn more finally about semblances and stuff.
Finally. Okay. I think we have talked a good amount about this.
Yes.
What do you like to summarize?
Yeah, I just one more thing.
Yeah.
It's not like a long thing, but I just wanted to say you made me think of Ilya.
Yeah.
Probably has a semblance.
Oh gosh, you're right.
we don't really know what that is. It's never been shown to us or hinted at in any way, really.
Yeah. You're right. I didn't even think of the fact that she she might not have unlocked it.
Yeah, it's true. She might not have unlocked it.
Yeah.
But like,
not everyone unlocks it. She might just be very physically skilled.
But like because it's easy to be misled by the whole she can change colors thing.
I mean, that's just her being a faunus.
But that's just her being a faunus. It's not her semblance.
Yeah. As far as we know, no. Okay, yeah, she's a faunus.
So yeah, it would be cool if she had one. I just thought about that.
No, that's a really good point. I wonder what it would be. I can't even begin to speculate on that.
Yeah, because it already seems like that her faunus powers like match her personality already.
So what would her potential thing be? Unless it's like, oh, she can start doing that. She can like change other people, which seems weird to me. Like, you know how Ren can...
Yeah.
Yeah, like that, except for changing how they look and other stuff. You get why this is weird, right?
Maybe. It's a thought.
Anyway.
I don't know.
Anyway, I don't think we should, unless you have an idea.
I have no ideas or anything to add.
None. I don't either. I have no opinion on what her semblance could be because...
Quality discussion. Yeah,
you have brought it up and it has planted a seed in my mind that I hope grows. Okay, what do you like to summarize, Ben?
Yeah, so in the spoiler discussion section, we talked about what's going to happen when Ilya and Team RWBY go to Atlas. Where you talked about what the dynamics are going to be like between the love quadrangle, pentagon, whatever it is, with Blake at the center, and how that's going to play out. We have no idea.
Nope.
We talked about how when they get to Atlas, what the sort of culture is going to, how that's going to impact them, what kind of effect it's going to have, how Jacques going to react, all sorts of things like that.
I mean, besides that, we talked a little bit about what Adam might do, direction of the White Fang, how Atlas might eventually end up being more accepting of Faunus, or maybe not. Maybe it'll all go to Crud again. Maybe it'll be another. Although we didn't outright mention this, what I meant is that maybe an outright Veil incident again, where everything goes to Crud. Then Yang and what's going to happen if she runs into Adam.
Yes.
All right. So, as we mentioned earlier, SoundCloud, we can only put 3 hours of content. That is definitely filled by episode 6. No, 5. Episode 5, where we talked about chapter 14.
Yes.
And that is not going to change until volume 6 stuff starts coming out. Besides that, that's actually about it. Thank you very much for listening to the spoiler and non-spoiler. Actually, I don't know if you listen to both, but thank you for listening anyway.
If you have any comments or questions, please feel free to email us at rubyramblings@gmail.com.
Or just put it in the comment section. No, really, if you have a theory about Sun Semblance and numbers and clones, I would love to hear it. Because I honestly can't remember a time that he used more than 2, and I might just be trying to prove myself, or just try to prove something with, oh, hey, you can only do 2 in theories about semblance and aura and stuff, which is not really important, but I actually really like it. Yeah. That was episode 8 of Ruby Ramblings. I'm Tristan.
And I'm Ben.
Bye. See you next time.